Last summer, President Young established the Muse Project.
This is one of the most exciting things that's going to happen on this campus this year,
which is a campus-wide student initiative.
That we're able to both provide and encourage students to take advantage of opportunities where they can have those kinds of transformative experiences.
President Young established the Muse Project because he's committed to enhancing the educational mission of the University of Utah and the quality of the education that we offer our students.
The Muse Project held a conference called Inspiring Teaching.
One thing we really wanted to do was to focus our first major annual event on teaching.
The idea was to bring educators from across campus together with staff and students to talk about how transformative educational experiences happen.
And we believe that this is an area that is already strong at the University of Utah, but that we can continue to enhance and develop in the interests of our students.
I'm not interested in exclusivity as a teacher. I'm not interested in having the spotlight being on me, whether it's 50 minutes, 90 minutes, or 3 hours. For me, the classroom belongs to the student.
The point of it was to come together and to think about the university really as a community of learning in which students and professors are allies.
A good learning on the part of a student is an act of hospitality to your teachers, and you should never forget that. You know, this is this relationship that we're trying to establish in the classroom.
Professor Bradley spoke very powerfully about the classroom as a kind of quintessentially social space.
Good teachers possess a capacity for relationships and making connections between things. They are able to weave a complex web of connections between them and their subjects and their students so that students can learn to weave a world for themselves.
It's very clear that individual teachers and professors can have a profound impact on students, and this may not be news, but it's always powerful to be reminded of this.
A number of the speakers talked about moments in their education that were transformative, and for many of them those were very positive moments. It might have been a one-on-one relationship with a teacher who really pushed the student to try something new or to apply for university.
Coach Mike said, well, have you thought about the University of Utah? They have a great forensics program. I think you'd do well. I think you'd like it. Well, yes, but you know, it's not really possible because of economics. And he drove me from Ogden to Salt Lake City, where there was an open house for the University of Utah debate team. And he spent that entire morning there with the debate team, introduced me to the debate coach. Long story short, about a month later, I got my acceptance to the university and, lo and behold, a debate scholarship.
Or might have been something that wasn't so positive.
And I'm trying, you know, I was a good student. I was like, you know, I've BS'd my way through classes before, and I'm going to just try and do my best. But that would not work with this man. You know, everything I said, it was like a little egg I was handing him, and he would just kind of like crush it, and I could see, the detritus of my thoughts. And at some point, I'm really trying, at some point, and when he asked me some direct question about something, and I said, I don't think that I know the answer to that question. And he looks at me, and he like, his glasses are down here. He's like, he's like 70 years old, and he goes, Miss Diamond, of course you know the answer to that question. It is my job to help you realize what you know, if you would be so kind as to participate in the
But some of the speakers really stressed the positive moments too. Brian Hotchkins was one who spoke about how he learned that every student needs to be understood as a whole person.
I believe in order for us to continue to make a difference and to transform our students as we challenge them, we have to challenge them not only to be scholars, but to transform themselves internally. And so part of that is nurturing their scholarly selves as well as nurturing their humanistic selves.
We don't become who we are on our own. And teachers play a major role in opening doors, encouraging, and challenging students. I believe then, as a teacher, we have a weighty responsibility in helping to form who our students become.
The great instance of professor and student at our conference was Professor Cindy Ferris and the undergraduate engineering student David Lubers, and of course they went to Antarctica together. The kind of opportunity that really is only possible for an undergraduate student at a major research university like the University of Utah. Interestingly, both Professor Ferris and David Lubers talked about the transformative nature of this experience.
This was the first experience that I have had that I have been in a situation that had no rigorous plan. This was not like a lab that I have taken or a class. There was no textbook.
These students can, in fact, do in fact, will in fact change the world. Engineering is a powerful degree. So are the other degrees on our campus. Those degrees, those students, those people, those thinkers are going to change our world, and I need them to. I can change the world a teeny bit myself, but with that entire classroom, I can really change the world.
That deeply humane engagement between student and professor provides just the kind of emotional and intellectual context that is necessary for transformative learning to happen.
The instructor and the student work together, and the instructor inspires the student to contribute in his or her field of study.
The people in the audience had a chance to think about the ideas that the speakers gave us, and then to give us some feedback about what they felt was important at the University of Utah in terms of providing opportunities for transformative education.
This message has to be brought to the entire university faculty.
So after the talks, we had the participants put their heads together and think about how do we define a transformative educational experience. The most important resource that we've identified is the passion that our faculty have for teaching.
We're not into this because we're into guilt and despair. We're into this because we care about love, joy, beauty, justice, and diversity of all kinds. And when we see those things threatened, we have a broken heart. And that's the point from which we then pick ourselves up and say, really, what is it that we should be doing?
Well, my own mentor, my own provider of a transformational educational experience is Brooke Hopkins. As most people in the university community know, after Brooke retired about 3 years ago, he had a horrible accident on his bicycle in City Creek Canyon and was left paralyzed. We had the extraordinary opportunity at the conference to hear from Brooke via video about his work as a teacher, work that is continuing even now.
I think that on some level, love is always at work between students and teachers if teaching is going to be effective.
Humility is the only possible posture we should bring into the room as teachers.
And it's in those moments where the most magical things happen, I think, in education, the most transformational things, the struggles.
And why is a profound thing. People tend not to think that, I mean, I showed you all the what I do. The what's neat. Anybody can explain what. Why is an extremely important thing. And so for me, the why on every one of those things is they're all transformative.
And that was my really transformative moment, although it took a lot of time to actually figure out what I was going to do with that. So a lot of my career focus in terms of teaching has looked at how do I bridge the gap between cool models and actually using those models in real life.
You should actively seek opportunities to take your education from the university.
This is a classic Italian cookbook. She said it's almost in everybody's house. It is called, in English, The Science of Cooking and the Art of Eating Well. And one day while I was cooking, I said, that's it. That's it. It is the science of teaching and the art of learning well.
And at the start of the class, the professor comes in and he says, is Mike Young here? And I think this is not a good sign. So I figure this is a mistake. There's probably another Mike Young. I'll just keep my hand down. But he asks again. And so finally I sort of sheepishly raised my hand, at which point he said, would you see me after class? You have no idea how long 50 minutes is in those circumstances. Well, as it turns out, he sort of liked some of the things I was doing and invited me to work on a research project that he was doing. And that fundamentally changed my life.
It's those, I guess you could call them moments of sublimity, which you hope for in any class, that happen rarely, but still they're there and they're available.
Thank you for coming to our first annual Muse Conference, this one on inspiring teaching, and your presence today has inspired me, and I thank you for that.